Hi, and welcome to the very first edition of the Independent Diners Cooking Show. I'm Mike Fucci. I am the Independent Diner. If you've been on my website, then you do know that I go from restaurant to restaurant giving reviews, and I critique the food, the restaurant itself. I also critique the service. So I have an abundance of years of experience from going from restaurant to restaurant. If you can't tell, I'm fat as hell. I mean, you can obviously see that I eat a lot. Okay. So this is going to be in addition to the Independent Diners website, where I prepare a meal and teach you how to cook. So tonight, for the very first meal, I've chosen scallops. We're going to pan-sear them, and we're going to do it in a tomato and basil with beautiful, as you can see, Greek olives, which they call calamatas. And that's going to be a salsa at the end of it. I'm going to put this dish together. I'm going to go step by step with you, and you're going to be able to learn how to do this on your own. These aren't hard things to do. Very simple techniques. You can do this in less than 15 minutes in your home. I promise you. Swear to God. So I'm going to get started now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our salsa, because that's going to take the longest to cook. These beautiful sea scallops take literally 6 minutes. 3 on either side. Do not overcook them. If you do, they're going to become hard and rubbery. So I will show you the greatest technique of all on how to make these. So let's start with just the basic tomato, basil, and Kalamata olives. Watch. I take a really hot pan. I put in the olive oil. Not too much. We're talking maybe a quarter of a cup. We're going to put the tomatoes in first. Okay. We're going to let them cook up a little bit. Then we're going to take the olives, the calamatas, and we throw them on top. Now, if you notice, I have not seasoned this yet. Normal rule of thumb is that you season everything before you use it. Okay? I get that. But where the Kalamata olives have so much really brining salt, I don't want you to put any salt in this, because you will regret it later, trust me. What I will have you do, though, pepper. Pepper, pepper, pepper. I am a firm believer in pepper. I love pepper. So as that's cooking right now, I'm going to stir it in a little bit, get everything nice and mushy mush. We'll drop the heat a little bit down to medium heat from high. And we're going to come back about the basil. Now, I'm sure I don't have to tell you how to do basil, okay? But what I do is I get the whole leaf and I just pick it off. I pick the leaf off from the stem. Why? Because the stem can tend to be a little bit bitter. And I know that people out there say, well, it's just a little stem. But, you know, you put that in your mouth alone, you'll get the taste of it. And you'll see how it is. So, we take our basil leaves. Oops, how did I do that? I make a bunch of noise today, don't I? Take our basil leaves and a sharp knife. And you just go through it as you fold them together and you slice. The world will not hate you if you slice too thin or if you slice too much. Just do it at your own pace. Take those slices, put them in the pot with the olives and the tomatoes. So now that you put the basil in, what you're going to do is you're going to reduce the heat from medium to low, and you're going to let it simmer. Now, by letting it simmer, you're not going to burn it. If you're burning the tomatoes, they're not going to taste that great. So what you're doing is you're lowering the heat just to keep a smooth simmer going across. This particular tomato and basil and olive mixture is going to take, which I like to call a salsa, is going to take about roughly 20 minutes. Okay? So we know we got 6 minutes for the scallops. We've got 20 minutes for the salsa, which is a warm salsa, which is going to be absolutely delicious. Every time, just as a note, wipe your cutting board. Every time. Make sure you wipe it. Nobody wants to eat a mix a meal with 20 different things on it. Trust me, it's dirty and you don't need that. Now, let's talk about the scallops. When you cook the scallops, you want them right out of the refrigerator, nice and cold. Nothing is worse than cooking a scallop that's warm, because it becomes very glutinous, very, real gummy, okay? You want them cold when you're putting it on the fire. So what we're going to do is we're going to season these on one side first. Okay, a little bit of salt, okay? A little bit of pepper on one side for right now. Then you're going to add a little bit of oil. A little bit of oil on them. Then you come over to your pan. Turn up the heat all the way. Nice and hot. You want that pan to be smoking hot. That way it sears in all the flavor of the scallop, and you want it to cook all the way through on a high heat. My recommendation is not overcooking the scallop. I would rather you undercook the scallop than overcook it, because it's going to taste like crap if you overcook it. Just as a heads up. So our pan is getting hot to the point where we can put the scallops on in just a minute. Lemons are your friend in the kitchen. You want to roll it really good, and you want to, that'll release all the juice from the lemon, okay? Really roll it good. Take your knife, boom, right down the middle. Now you've got a half. What you're going to do with this lemon is you're going to come over here to your salsa, and you're going to give it a little bit of lemon juice. Perfect. Now you let that simmer a little bit more, stirring it every few minutes. You don't want the tomatoes to go to mush. That's the point here. To have the tomatoes go to mush, they're still not going to taste good, but, you know, to each his own. If you like mushy tomatoes, I'm proud of you. Go, like, you know, live somewhere else, because I'm telling you now, mushy tomatoes in this dish ain't working, I promise you. All right? So now on to the scallops. We've got the oil on them, the salt and the pepper, they're perfectly seasoned. Let's take your oil right in the pan. Just a little bit, not a lot. We're not looking to, you know, boil them. We're looking to just sear them and get them nice and crispy on the outside. See how that's nice and smoky? Okay, now let's lay down the first scallop. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, here's the thing. Don't go throwing the scallop. It did nothing to you. It did nothing to hurt your feelings. Okay? Be nice to it when you put it in the pan. Okay? It doesn't want to be thrown around. Treat it with respect. That's all. All right? Now, while you're waiting for that scallop to cook, okay, and you can move that around a little bit. Try to move the pan a little bit. Get in there and shift them around. Make sure that oil is right on the base of the pan. Like I said, not too much. You just have a little bit. Nice hot pan. I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to stir up this awesome salsa. So now it's time to turn our scallops. You get right in there, boom. Get right in there one more time. Don't worry about the oil. Everybody gets burned. If you're going to be a good chef, you're going to have burn marks on you a little bit, you know? And just swim around the plate a little bit in the pan. Now let them set. They got about another 3 minutes, and once those things come off in 3 minutes, you're going to see nothing but love on a plate. Now, I believe that the salsa is done, so we're going to shut the heat off on that. So now I have my plate and I have my spoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plate the actual salsa. A slotted spoon will work best. It's going to be warm, so you want to drain out all the stuff on the bottom. So you go right to the center of your plate, keep it nice and clean. 1 spoonful should be plenty. We'll move that aside. Now, the scallops are just about done. But before they're done, what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of lemon juice right on them. And shut the heat off immediately. Letting them cook. Boy, those look beautiful. I have a plate with a paper napkin on top of it. The first thing you have to do with scallops is you have to drain them. You want to drain them and make sure that all the water's out of them. You don't want a watery plate. I'm sorry, I don't do things that way. I like my plate clean. So, your spatula, testing the scallops. Look at that. That's beautiful on both sides. We take 3 scallops. We'll get one more here. A little bit hot. It is what it is, right? Take a little bit of a garnish of basil. Two croutons, boom, and there's your meal. Okay, so you have your scallops with your tomato and basil salsa with that nice Kalamata olive in there. This meal took all of 15 minutes. I know that this video is going to be cut down in editing, but I'm telling you the truth. All of 15 minutes for a beautiful dish like this. Why can't you do this dish? I have no idea. If you want the recipe, go to my website, theindependentdiner.com, and I will go through it step by step with you on the website, as well as looking at this video. I'm sure you'll look at it over and over again because I'm so handsome. But this is what we put out at the Independent Diner. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.